is the one thing that every paid marketer needs to know. And the cool thing is, I've created a full PowerPoint presentation for this one. This is actually something that we talk about at our live events. I thought this would be a really cool topic because it's probably the number one question that I get asked when people run marketing, and that is like, how quickly can I get a return, or like, how do I know that it's going to work? Okay. Now the cool thing with that is I'm just going to literally jump through and share my screen with you, and I'll show you how this all comes together. Entire screen. This one. Cool. That's exciting. So basically, like how it works, guys, is I'm going to show you how to know if you're profitable with paid advertising before you even spend 1 cent on ads. So to do that, basically we need to understand like what are the big mistakes. Now I'm going to literally show you how profitable you need to be, and also how to work it out probably in like a minute or less. Okay, so I'm literally going to show you guys how you can be profitable in a minute or less. I'm going to give you some cool tools and stuff, some cool free tools to get started, so you can have confidence in knowing that your advertising is going to work. So the first thing we need to understand is, like, I can show you what that is. We need to understand what it's not. Okay, and this is probably the biggest mistake that we've ever seen that happens with paid advertising. Now, we would call this the spray and pray method. Now, this is literally where you go and spray heaps of cash, hoping and praying to the marketing gods, whether it's Zuckerberg or the Google guys or whoever, that basically your ads are going to work. Okay, now with no real sort of clear process or strategy or anything to put that together. Okay. And then you might this might ring true to you guys. Yeah, usually all at once. So usually you might model something that somebody else is working, you hope it works for you. Try lots of different offers and never spend enough ad spend to get any of them. We call that like the bright shiny object syndrome. Or maybe even just having a bland or boring message that never really connects with your dream client. So that's usually where people start with their advertising. They wonder why the results don't work. The other thing is they probably don't measure anything. They have no idea about conversion rate, landing page. They have no idea how much a click costs. They have no idea like how to scale it, what a lead should be, any of that. Now, I'm going to be sharing with you guys a really cool way that you can figure all this out in literally like minutes, right? Now, then of course, most marketers or most businesses come to the crashing conclusion that paid ads don't work and it's all too hard. Okay, now the solution that we need to look at here is we need to start with a sales process that works. Now, I don't care who you are, whether pick any $1 million business out there. You name a $1 million business that hasn't already figured out how to turn $1 of ad budget into $3, $4, $5, or even $6 or $10 even. Okay, whether it's McDonald's, Nike, a coach or a consultant that anyone who's doing like well over $1 million in sales has usually figured out how a sales process where they can put a dollar and it turns into more than that. Okay, and you need to figure this out before you even start. Now, it is easier to do than you would think. So for example, there's only one metric that you need to measure to make this work. Now, I know that in the marketing space, there's 1,000 different metrics. Like you could be measuring cost per view, cost per click, cost per action, view rate, amount of impressions that you're getting, all of that stuff. Now, there's only really one metric that you need to measure, and it's sort of front to back. And that number is called return on ad spend. So for every dollar that you spend, how much money does that dollar turn into? Does it turn into $1? Does it turn into $2? Does it turn into $3? Like how much money does every dollar you spend turn into in terms of cash? Now, we need to be able to work that out as business owners so we can comfortably know that every dollar that we spend is turning into more money than we're putting in. So how does it work? ROAS in the industry, or if you're not familiar with it, is return on ad spend. How many dollars do you get back for everything spent? What is a minimum acceptable level? Now, we would say a 3 times return. So for every $1 you put in, now this is on revenue, you can work this out on profit if you want, or you can work it out on revenue, and we'll go into a bit of an example on that shortly. For every dollar that you spend, you need to be getting at least $3 back for every single dollar that you spend online. Okay. Now, the reason you need to make that work is because businesses have costs, right? Like you've got costs of goods, you've got employees, you've got overheads, rent, all of the different things you need to pay for. And if you're running it any less than that, you're really going to struggle to run your business profitably with paid advertising. So there are 3 main categories. I'm going to go over these over the next sort of 3 weeks in the lives. But what we want to look at is, even if you're not in e-commerce, like this is like an e-commerce sales process, But the numbers of this is going to be the same for every single business out there. So let's start with e-commerce because it's the simplest thing to say. So if you've got something to sell, your business will fit inside of this, even if you are a service-based business. But I just want to show you how the math works. This is probably the simplest way for you guys to understand. And then we'll get probably next week when I do my next live, we'll get into probably we'll get into the service base, and then coaches and consultants I'll do the week after. So e-commerce products, but it doesn't matter if you're a coach, consultant, or service-based, these numbers will work for you as well. So your traditional e-commerce business will look something like this: traffic, product page, checkout page, additional upsell or downsell, then a sale. That's usually the sales process. Basically, the sales process is traffic into a product page that you want people to buy. Okay. Notice how I didn't say like homepage on Shopify or something like that. Okay. You want to send them to a product page. Now, here's the 3 numbers that you need to know to make sure that you, whatever business you're in, even if you are in a service-based business, that you're going to get a minimum 3 times return on ad spend and how to work it out. So think of it like a quick equation. If you had to put an equation together, what would be the 3 things I'd need to know to work out my ROAS or my return on ad spend? The first thing you need to know is our lifetime or cart value. Okay, how much is a client basically worth to you? Okay, how long are they worth to you? Like if someone comes to your store or they come to your business, how much do they spend with you on average within the year? What does your website convert at? So if we send 100 people to our website, how many people buy or do the thing that we want? And lastly, how much did it cost to get them there? That's it. They're the 3 things you need to know. So if you can manage understanding those 3 things, you're going to do really well with paid marketing if you can put all of these components together. Now, the outcome has to equal at least 3 times return on ad spend. If you're into e-com and you might have like a higher margin product, like let's say you're selling something over $500 or over, $3 or $400 or $500 or $1,000 or something, you might not be able to get 3 times return on ad spend. So then in that case, you might look for 2. But pretty much if you're a service-based business, man, like you need to be at least 3 times return on ad spend. Okay. So, and also like some people like to work their return on ad spend out on profit. So, definitely you might be looking more at a 2 times return on ad spend, depending on how much, costs of goods and margin you have in your products. Okay. So let's have a look. What we want to do is we want to basically, how cool would it be if we could just literally put like how much money we want to make and those 3 things into a calculator, and it would automatically spit out the answer. Okay. So that's exactly what I'm going to show you guys how to do right now. So to do that, what we might do is let's just come back to here. I have a bit of example. So let's run 2 different businesses side by side into the calculator, and we'll see which one spits out more profitable, which one has more profit. And I think you're really going to see what things you need to do in your business to move the needle to make your business more profitable. So Jack owns a clothing store, right? His cost per click is 70 cents a click. He's selling like t-shirts or apparel or something like that. His lifetime value or cart value, so how much a client spends with him usually is $45, and the conversion rate's around 2%. Now, I get asked this question a lot with e-commerce. What is a good conversion rate? So a good conversion rate on e-commerce is anywhere from, depending on the price of your product, if you're selling something under $100, anything from sort of like 2 to 3% would be good. Probably 3% would be good. 4% would be amazing. Okay, 1% is a bit rubbish. Okay, so again, if you're selling something over like $100 or $200 or something, these conversion rates are going to vary, and they'll probably get less as they go more. But if you're an e-commerce business, your conversion rate, you really want to be looking at about sort of 2 to 3% or 3% and over once you've got it a bit optimized. Now, if you're a service-based business, depending on what you're doing, and I'll go through this next week, if you're going over, like an opt-in for a lead or something like that, you do want to be plus 10%. Okay, so just so you know. Jill, who owns an anti-aging cosmetic store, she has $1.50 clicks, lifetime value is 300, and her conversion rate's 2%. Okay, so same conversion rate, bit more expensive traffic and a bit more expensive spend. Okay, so let me ask you guys, like, who do you think is going to win this one? How do you think this is going to go down in terms of getting out in front of the right? Who's going to be the winner? Who has a more profitable business here? So to do that, we're going to go to a live demo to a calculator that I prepared earlier. So if we come down here, so we have a look like Jack, let's say that they both want to make $5,000, for example. That'd be cool. Lifetime value is $45. Yep, $45. Our conversion rate is 2%, 2%, and our cost per click was 70 cents. Okay. Now, we can see here that there's a couple of things going on. Whenever you work on any of these calculators, we give a lot of these calculators pretty much away for free on our live trainings that we do. We give away all sorts of free stuff. Here's some of it here. Here's all the different calculators for all the different sales processes that I'll be going over in the coming weeks. This one here, the traffic marketing calculator, is really the one where if you can understand those three things in your business, it really doesn't matter if you're a service or product-based business, as long as you know the lifetime value, what your website or your sales process converts at, and how much it costs you for a click. You can pretty much work out the profitability of any business in terms of online traffic, whether it's YouTube or Facebook or whatever it might be. Now, obviously, you've heard me talk before, YouTube traffic is probably the best out there at the moment. Okay. So let's have a look. So we can see here, there's a couple of things going on. To make $5,000, we'd need 111 sales. We'd need 5,556 clicks. The cost per action per click is $35. Our product's $45. We would need to spend, $3,800 in ad spend to get a net profit of $1,000. And we're only really like making 30% on that. So that's not 3 times return on ad spend. Okay. So that is a problem for Jack. Now, what Jack could do is, let's say that Jack gets his website conversion rate to 3%. You can see it's almost at 1 times return on ad spend. So that would be 100%. Maybe he can get his traffic down to 50 cents a click. And now Jack's almost at 2 times return on ad spend. So now it's only costing him $17 cost per action, but he's selling for 45. So you can see here that this is the number that we need to be at least 200 or 300%. Okay, cool. So we'll come back to where it was before. So at the moment, Jack's clothing store, the margins on it are a bit thin. Okay, let's have a look at Jill. So Jill, same thing, wants to earn $5,000. You can put whatever number you want in here, and all the math will just change. Her lifetime value is $300. Okay, so $300. So when someone buys a product, anti-aging cream or whatever, they might buy maybe the first thing, which is 100, and then they come back next month and they buy the next thing, or they refill, or they have a subscription thing or whatever. Within the space of a year, they're usually going to be around 300 is the thinking. Okay. Website conversion rate again is at 2%. Okay. And the cost per click here in this case is going to be $1.50. So much, much higher. But you can see, because her lifetime value is higher, then she can get someone to pay her $75 and she makes 300, which is 3 times return on ad spend. Okay. So there's a couple of things that you could do here. Again, if you change these numbers a little bit, so like say you get, $1.20 clicks or something, at 4 times return on ad spend, and away you go. So the things you can control, really, the biggest thing you control is usually your website conversion rate. So 3% here, now you're at 6 times return on ad spend. Okay. So you can quickly see how like small levers, like small hinges, swing huge doors. Okay. So being able to change your website conversion rate by 1% or 2, doing things like split testing, changing headlines, putting different offers in, that sort of thing, is probably the biggest thing that you can do. And of course, getting quality traffic cheaper is another thing you can do too. Okay. So we can see here that of the 2 examples, Jill is out of the gate 3 times return on ad spend more, like 3 times return on ad spend, whereas Jack's like just breaking even over here. Okay. Now, in my experience, after doing like heaps and heaps of these different, profitability calculators with people, I can tell you now that if you're running an e-commerce business and you don't have a lifetime value, like people don't spend at least $60 or $70 with you, you are going to struggle. Okay. So there's a pro tip. So basically they're the calculators. I suggest you guys get out and actually use them. Put your business in there. Remember, like, you can download the calculators. I'll leave a link to it in the bottom of the chat. I mean, all the free resources and stuff we give away usually. Like, we give away like YouTube ad script templating checklists and templates, audience list, like every audience list that's available. And we'll give you like all the different calculators. So no matter what your business is, you'll be able to, like, even if you got complicated coach consultant stuff, there's a calculator there for you. But for right now, like level one is probably understanding how the traffic calculator works and just putting your business through this. And here's the thing: if you don't know what your lifetime value of a client is, go work it out. Okay. If you don't know what your website conversion rate is, go work it out. So lifetime value of a client, how you might work that out is, let's say you know what you made in sales last year. Like we made $100,000 in sales, but we had 10 clients. They were, each one was worth $10,000. Okay. Would be a good example. Just divide it by the amount. So sales divided by the amount of clients will give you the lifetime value. Or website conversion rate, you can see this on Google Analytics. Okay. Or you might say, hey, we had 100 visits to our landing page and we had 5 book calls or something. We had a 5% conversion rate. Okay. Or 5 sales. Okay. So whatever it might be, that's the conversion rate that you're looking for. Cost per click. If you don't know what your cost per click is, you can go into the Google keyword tool and type in keywords around what you're doing. That'll give you a really good cost per click. You can also use tools like Neil Patel's Uber Suggest, and just type in like keywords like let's say I'm in anti-aging, I'd be like anti-aging, see what the cost per click is. Now the cost per click on Google search is going to be way more expensive than you're ever going to pay in Facebook or YouTube, but it's a good conservative place for you to start if you're not sure what your cost per click is going to be. Okay, you bet much better off if you've not run traffic before, work it out at an expensive price, and then when you come to run ads on YouTube, for example, be pleasantly surprised. Okay. So guys, hopefully that makes a bit of sense on like how to work out if you're profitable before you get started. Again, I'll leave a link to these resources in the chat. Next week, I'm literally going to run over the next sales process. If we come back up to the slides, which is the service base. So I'll do service base businesses, so like lead gen. So this is like e-commerce, but you can use this calculator for both. But specifically, let's talk about lead gen next week and about how we can work out if we're profitable with YouTube ads before we even start doing anything. Now, you do need to have that minimum 3 times return on ad spend. Guys, if you wanted to touch base with us, reach out to us. You can check us out at targetmarket.com, or I'll leave a link to some resources that you can check out below. Other than that, hopefully we've been able to help you in some way today. Keep it real, and I will catch you guys next week on the next live. Okay, thanks. Bye.